Good morning. Welcome back to Good Morning Arkansas. Kind of hazy looking outside. We want to welcome Dr. Scott Davis from Baptist Health coming on the show. Great to see you again.
Good morning, Todd. How are you?
Good morning. I think I learned this in the second or the third grade, or at least I started learning about how the heart works. You learn it in science class, but you know what? You forget. That's a complicated organ.
We're going to start with Baptist Health doing a monthly series on cardiovascular disease. And so what I thought we'd do is just begin with the basics, you know, just how does the heart work? And then we'll move into different topics each month on coronary disease, and then on the rhythm of the heart, and then on valves. And then we'll be able to interact with folks, answer, you know, Facebook questions that people may have. And so what I wanted to start out with is, like, you know, we talk about heart disease all the time. We talk about risk factors for heart disease, but let's begin with how does the heart work? And the heart is just basically a fancy pump. I tell people it's not unlike the engine of your car, and the object of the game is to move blood from the lungs to the heart. And so here's a nice illustrated 3D graphic of the red is the left side of the heart, the blue is the right side. Blood will start with getting blood from the right atrium, will go into the right ventricle, that will move then through the pulmonary valve. That's that valve that we see that's opening and closing, which goes to the lungs. So the object of the game is to get oxygen from the lungs to the rest of the body. Once we send the red blood cell to the lung, it gets oxygen, and now the red represents oxygenated blood, blood that comes back from the lung into the left atrium, across the mitral valve, that's that valve you see there, into the left ventricle, and then out through the aortic valve to the body. And so it's an exquisite pump. It's a very elaborate system, but it's not that complicated. You can see from this flow diagram, we start out with the lungs at the top. So the blue line coming from the upper left goes to the lungs. Then we bring oxygenated blood through the left atrium, the left ventricle. It circulates out to the body. Then it comes back to the right side of the heart. And so it moves in a sequential fashion that way. And so that's the way we move oxygen to the tissues, and then we get carbon dioxide back, and then get rid of it. So then what we'll be talking about then is what happens when there's problems with that system. What happens then if we have a blocked heart artery, which, again, using the pump analogy, using the engine analogy, that's a scenario where you've got a blockage in your gas line. You're not getting enough oxygen to your heart. So what happens if there's a valve problem? What happens if there's a leaking in one of those valves? Not unlike a leaking valve in your heart. What happens if you've had some heart damage? If you've had a heart attack, how does that affect the overall pumping function? How does heart failure fit into all that?
It's really amazing because it all has to work together in unison and perfect timing between how the valves open up and the blood gets pumped.
And the thing we emphasize to patients is they're all intimately connected. In other words, circulation to the pump, the horsepower, the pumping function, the electrical system, the valves, they are all intimately connected. And if you have a problem with one, it can upset the function of the other. So, you know, we want to promote heart health. We want to emphasize along the way, as we have these conversations each month, what can I do to avoid having a problem? How do I do things like getting off cigarettes? How do I watch my cholesterol? How do I exercise in an aerobic and effective way?
And that's interesting because we think about, you know, if you smoke cigarettes, you think the lungs.
That's right.
So how does it have an impact on the heart? I guess you're just not able to get that oxygenated blood to the heart, are you?
That's correct. It affects the heart in a number of ways, but the toxins that are in cigarette smoke increase one's risk, especially for developing premature clogging of the arteries, atherosclerosis of the arteries. So the gas lines get clogged, which means that the heart has to work harder with less amount of oxygen. It would be like if you had a blocked gas line to your engine of your car. It's just going to have to put that much more workload on the heart because it's not getting enough gas. It's not getting enough oxygen.
All right, so when you talk about exercises, we always talk about cardiovascular exercises, doing your cardio at the gym.
That's right.
But that just helps, does it just get the heart pumping and working right, and does it get rid of all the plaque buildup or reduce it?
It's a bit of a misnomer to think that if I lose 15 or 20 pounds, get my blood pressure in control, that I'm going to have plaque regression. We did that study about 20 years ago where we actually angiographically looked at, is there an evidence of plaque regression with exercise, with diet modification? There is in about 30% of the patient study. So you have to be careful how you say, yeah, if you exercise, your plaque will go away, because it won't necessarily go away, but it will stabilize. It's less likely to grow, okay? So by pursuing a more active aerobic lifestyle, by eating cleaner, you can say with confidence that if you do have some developing plaque, it will really retard its growth.
And eating right.
That's right. It's key.
Right.
I mean, you want to have a clean plate. That's what we tell patients all the time. So it's a challenge living in the South and in the Southern fried lifestyle that we've become accustomed to. And it is like Emeril Lagasse says, pork fat does taste good, but we want to really keep it in moderation.
Everything in moderation.
That's right.
All right, so what can we look forward to next week?
So we're going to do a monthly series.
Next month.
A monthly series. We're going to talk about coronary disease. What is your risk for coronary disease? What are some things I can do to prevent it if I have it? What do I need to do to avoid having another heart attack, to have another stent, to avoid bypass surgery? Get drilled down on coronary disease and some practical tips for that.
Because this is the number one, I always hear, but is it the number one killer in men? Is that right?
And women. The thing is, I tell people this
You
all
don't
the
think
time.
about women having heart attacks for
No,
some
but
reason.
here's the thing. Coronary disease claims more lives than disease processes 2 through 5 combined.
Really?
Combined. And so, and I think it's a wonderful effort, for instance, the efforts of Susan Komen and breast awareness. But you know what? More women will die from coronary disease than breast cancer.
Really?
That's not to downplay the breast cancer piece, but we really want to emphasize coronary disease both in men and women.
Okay. That's very educational. Good
Thanks,
stuff.
man.
I really appreciate
Thanks
that.
for having me. Yeah.
And again, next month we're looking forward to all that new information.
Yes, sir.
Brushing up on how the heart works.
That's right.
This guy has heart. Let's take again, if you want to contact him at Baptist Health, do you have a website?
Right. So 1-800, our health line is 1-800-BAPTIST.
Okay, 1-800-BAPTIST. That's easy to remember.
Yeah, give us a call. We'll get you set up.
All right.
Thanks, Todd.
Thank you very much, Doctor. We have more coming up here on Good Morning Arkansas. Stay with us, everybody.